What is going on, gamers, and welcome back to the channel. Today we have some awesome news for you. Apparently DC is thinking about making their own hero shooter game based on Marvel Rivals, but obviously only using DC characters. So it's really awesome news, and we're going to talk all about it today. And as you guys can see, I am a huge Batman fan. Got it hanging up above my Chubbs Gaming sign right there. I just love DC characters and their stories. I think that they are really interesting. Honestly, probably a little bit more interesting than Marvel characters. But in media and stuff, Marvel has surpassed DC just with the popularity of the MCU and those movies and TV shows. And DC has kind of struggled. I mean, there's been a lot of great things, but also a lot of things that have been pretty bad. And this news comes to us from GameRant. I will be putting a link in the description to the article. And from James Gunn himself. If you guys don't know who James Gunn is, he's actually the guy who directed the 3 Guardians of the Galaxy movies. And he has basically become the head of what's now DC Studios. So just kind of understand it better, we have Marvel Studios. Kevin Feige is the head of that, or the MCU as we call it, all those movies and stuff. James Gunn will basically, well, he is now basically the head of DC Studios. He is the Kevin Feige of DC. And he's in charge of all the movies and stuff that are taking place and all the creative control, and will be the deciding factor on everything that comes out DC related. They are basically rebooting the whole DC universe in movies and stuff this summer with the Superman movie, which James Gunn himself is actually directing. So it says, James Gunn, the director steering DC Studios towards a new dawn with co-CEO Peter Safran, has recently commented on a Marvel Rivals styled game with DC characters, and the boss would thankfully be open to the idea. The boss being James Gunn. DC has dished out its fair share of games in its longevity, including Gotham Knights, Batman Arkham Shadow on the MetaQuest 3, and Injustice 2. Those are just the most recent games. There was Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, but that one wasn't that good, just from the reviews and everything. It honestly looked pretty fun. I had never played it, but I did want to, but the reviews were horrible for it. I do love the Batman Arkham games, which were made by Rocksteady Studios, and they mentioned that right here, that none of the DC games have surpassed the Arkham ones, the Arkham series. But Marvel Rivals has perhaps paved the way for a hero shooter on the horizon. Okay, this is where the quote comes in. Speaking to Comic Book during a recent DC Studios event, James Gunn was asked about the possibility of a DC version of Marvel Rivals. Totally possible, I'd be open to it, Gunn replied, which is a positive response that teases DC's foot in the hero shooter genre. Comic book fans already have story ideas for Marvel Rivals DC variant, swapping Marvel Rivals Doctor Doom and Galactic Big Bats for the Anti-Monitor or the Batman Who Laughs, both of which would take a stab at derailing the multiverse. So we're going to go into, some characters that I would love to see later, and actually might make some videos of 10 heroes and 10 villains for DC that I would like to see added into this game. If you guys would want, comment something down below and I will make those videos. So people might have mixed reactions for this news. In my personal opinion, I think it would be a great idea. When I was first playing Marvel Rivals, I thought to myself that DC could make a pretty awesome game themselves with these characters. And in my opinion, it could probably be a little better. I do like DC characters more than Marvel characters. I do think they're more interesting. That's not to say I don't like all the Marvel movies and all that. I'm a huge fan. But DC characters are really cool. It can have like a more dark and gritty tone, which people would probably want, rather than the lighthearted tone of Marvel Rivals. So that could be a huge change. I mean, characters like Batman, Joker, like those are pretty dark characters, and they could even introduce like Clayface or someone. I think also that this could be a huge success for DC Studios. Like I mentioned prior, they are rebooting the whole universe with Superman this summer, and I'm really excited for that movie. A game like this could get people hyped for that movie. Now, this will probably not get released anytime soon, but they do have a list of movies that they're planning on making and TV shows as well after the Superman one to develop this universe. And so I think that it could get a lot of people interested in DC right now. So I think that could be a great idea. And I mean, Marvel Rivals, as we all know, is hugely successful. It's definitely overtaken Overwatch at this point. I know the Overwatch Glazers will be mad in the comments, but I mean, it's just true. Marvel Rivals is insanely better than that game. You do have to wonder when they would actually release the DC Rivals, or whatever they would end up calling it. It probably won't be called DC Rivals. The thing is, people are really interested in Marvel Rivals right now, so if DC just kind of rushed out a game to combat it, it might not go over so well. So they could maybe wait for a cooling period where Marvel Rivals isn't as popular. You know, you could argue whether that will even happen in the first place. But like I mentioned prior, I don't think it's going to be released anytime soon. Marvel Rivals probably took a long time. I don't know when they started developing this game, but I'm assuming it took a long time, just like games do. They take years. So this one will probably be a long time away, but I'm still hopeful, and I think that this is honestly just a really good idea. Let me know down in the comments whether you guys think that this would be a good idea as well for DC to make a more dark and gritty version of Marvel Rivals with all the DC characters. I think it would be so much fun. You would also run into the problem of characters being a little bit too similar to the ones in Marvel Rivals. For example, we have Hawkeye in Marvel, and then in DC, his equivalent is Green Arrow. So I don't know how that would work. They would probably have very similar skill sets and abilities in the game. Also, Aquaman in DC, and then Namor. They both use like a trident, King of the Ocean, and so they would have to come up with their own sort of abilities for those characters. But I don't know how you could have Aquaman without him using his trident as his main weapon. And as well, Green Arrow needs his bow, and then whatever their ultimates would be. I mean, it would just be so cool. But there are a lot of heroes that are similar in DC and Marvel. So maybe DC could just, pick another different set of heroes. Like they could pick the Flash, because right now there's no like speedster hero in Marvel Rivals. There have been talks of Quicksilver being added, but he's obviously not in yet, maybe in a future season. But the Flash and a speedster, DC could take the initiative on having that be in their hero shooter faster than Marvel Rivals could. Plus, the Flash is just a lot more popular than Quicksilver is, unfortunately. And then obviously we'll have like the main Justice League members like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. I already mentioned the Flash. We have Cyborg, and then Aquaman, who I already mentioned as well. I mean, very similar to Marvel Rivals. There's so much lore and things to draw from, comics and everything, books, that they can create characters with and alternate skins. I mean, this could end up making a ton of money for DC. And I honestly think that it'll be hard to match what NetEase is putting into Marvel Rivals, because they are honestly just doing everything they can, putting 110% into this game. It is really awesome and really fun. And also, the updates that they're doing to balance out everything are great, in my opinion. All the heroes that they're adding, like the Fantastic Four, and how soon they've added so many heroes, it's just great. So it's going to be really tough for DC to match that. But if they can get a great team to work on this, I think that it could be awesome and possibly even surpass the popularity of Marvel Rivals. But let's get into some heroes that I would personally like to see added into the game. First up is Gorilla Grodd. Now, he is a Flash villain. He kind of does have like a mind control, can telekinesis, I guess almost similar to like Professor X. He could probably be a support or healer or just a tank, because he's a big beefy gorilla. Also, Dr. Fate. He's, I guess, similar to Doctor Strange. But he's got a really cool look, and I think that if we're going in the style of Marvel Rivals, he would be really fun and really cool to use. He was also in the Black Adam movie that came out a few years ago. He was probably the best part of that movie as well. Joker, he's just the Batman villain. We all know him, we all love him, and I think that he would be a really cool addition into the game. His main thing would probably be like a crowbar or something like that, his main weapon. Probably have some like poison, laughing gas, or something like that, and that does damage to everyone. King Shark, I believe he's mainly a Flash villain, but he's really cool. He could just be like a tank or a Vanguard. Personally, I would like to see and Robin added into the game, as they're some of my favorite DC characters. I think that they would be really popular and really fun to use. Shazam, he's really powerful. Could be one of the flying characters, throwing lightning all around. Killer Croc, he could be a tank. Just a really big, crocodile man. He's also a Batman villain. Black Manta, he is the villain to Aquaman. And he's got like his big red eyeballs that shoot a laser out from him, so they could definitely use that in his gameplay. But guys, if you've made it all the way to this point in the video, I really appreciate it. That's going to be all for today. Again, join me down in the comment section if you guys think that DC should make their own hero shooter to combat Marvel rivals, whether it's a good or a bad idea, and also what heroes or villains would you like to see added into the game. My name is Chubbs Gaming, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.